This episode of Conversations with Collins is sponsored by the D. Bake Foundation.
Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Collins. The views shared should in no way replace that of your physician, and the views of the host and her guests are that solely of the individual and are not endorsed by any businesses or organizations.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Collins. I am Dr. Sharice Collins, and I am an OBGYN board certified. Today, we'd like to discuss education. I'd like to discuss Black men in education, and I would like to discuss trauma in education. So today I have two very special guests with me, and I'll let them introduce themselves and tell you what they do.
Hello, I'm Gregory Williams. I'm a building sub at one of the Parkway District schools.
Hello, Christopher Daniels, drama teacher in Normandy School District.
Okay, well, I appreciate both of you coming on today.
Of course.
So the reason I asked you all to be on today is because there is a lack of Black men in, I believe, very crucial roles in Black children's lives, right? We are already dealing with a situation of a high rate of absentee fathers. And we can just talk about fatherhood, and we'll leave that for a different episode. But today, because I have two teachers with me, I wanted to discuss what it's like being Black men in two school districts in the metropolitan area that serve a majority, or I won't say a majority, but a large portion of Black children and children of color. And as Black men in these roles, how you affect these children, not just Black and children of color, but all children, and try to make them see and try to guide them and help mold them along with their parents. So that's one area I want to touch on today. And then for everyone out there, yesterday was a mass shooting at a metropolitan St. Louis high school. And as two teachers who were teaching yesterday, I'd like to delve into how you deal with the children and how you yourselves deal with this trauma that has hit so close to home. We hear about school shootings all the time in the media and on the news, and our heart goes out to everybody involved, but it's not usually in our town. And this time it was. And you all were not in that school, but you were in school with children that were getting this information. So I'd like to touch on that as well. So with those topics out there, is there anything while I was talking that either one of you are like, oh, yeah, I need to say this?
I would say for one, the absence of not a lot of Black male teachers. I would say that we do need more of those. Most definitely demand, but I would say that for me, I would say that growing up with just having some male teachers, it was something good just to look up to, because as you see with the media, we have rappers, we have people who just want to do all types of things, but just seeing a Black male teacher, I was like, I can make a difference, and just by having a voice and just being educated and just putting myself out there and just listen to your mother and just be just school is everything. Yeah. Knowledge is power, all that.
What made you want to be a teacher?
Me personally was, it started off, I want to say, probably kindergarten all the way through high school. I've had many teachers help me because I had an IEP.
Explain what that is. Where this is going out, so you want to explain for people who aren't in education or don't have small children.
I gotta remember
what an IEP is.
And basically, an IEP is for students that need just a smidge bit more help, with reading, writing, math, or just any type of subject where you can just get the extra help just to slow things down. If you need something read to you, because everyone reads things differently in their mind. I know that I did, and it would just be one blob word, and I'm like, wow, I have no idea what I just read. And then the IEP person, he or she would explain it, talk about what you guys talk about, remember what you guys talked about, and just go over things in your head that you remember in class and notes. And I mean, I did a lot better with that, so yeah.
Yeah, individual education plans, right? They were originally implemented to help children from falling back. Right? And I think they have been so instrumental in helping parents understand what's going on with their child. That's true. Right? And doesn't always work, but most of the time it gives that child the individual attention that they need to learn the way they learn, not to just be labeled as you can't learn or unteachable. Okay. Chris, did you have anything to add to that?
Well, see, I'm working as a drama teacher now, but I've been working with youth since I was about maybe 15 myself. So the understanding of the impact that, that I can have on them as being a Black man is very influential. Sometimes the pay is not always what it should be or what I would like for it to be, but I understand the importance of me being there. There's times where there's last year, there was a kid that I was getting on, talking to him and I understand the weight of getting that discipline and having those conversations. So right in the middle of it, I was talking to him about what he was doing wrong and how he needs to, shift and fix it. And right in the middle of that conversation, he bust out crying. Now this is a 4th, 5th grader. Bust out crying. And right in the middle of my argument about whether he was throwing paper, I can't remember, he's doing something. In the middle of that argument, he starts crying and he asks me, why don't my dad love me? Right in the middle of me having a conversation with him. Now, as a man, I almost broke down, at that moment, but I had to talk to him. We had to shift the conversation Because at that moment, I realized where his mind was at, even hearing me talk to him. And make a long story short, he turned his grades around after that conversation. You know, the whole concept of me checking in on him and him coming to see me, you know. But that impact we have as Black men, we have it all the time, whether we as the Black teachers know it or not.
You are a teacher just being a Black man.
Yeah. Just being present. They understand. Kids look at you different, look at us different, as they would any other teacher in the building. So it means more when they hear us acknowledging them. Right after that, I had to start a thing in the class where throughout the week, I made sure that each kid had at least 10 minutes just to come and talk to me about
so
whatever.
You know what was going on.
About whatever they want to talk about.
I like that.
Yeah, and literally, it changes. Like I got kids now this year that are going through different traumas. The amount of trauma that these kids is going through is crazy. And literally, I had to tell all the teachers, if you have any kid in the building, I'm not an admin, I'm a teacher. But I tell all the other colleagues, if there's any kids in your class that are doing good, since everybody's begging to come to my class, they always asking the teachers, can we go see Mr. Chris? Can we go to Mr. Daniels? If they're doing good, just send them down. No matter what class I got, let them come. They can hang with me for 15 minutes, whether I got a class or not, and they can be a part of this, or they can just sit back and just take a break. And doing that, it changes a lot. So that's just going off into the role that we have, the impact we have. Believe it or not, I even have other colleagues that come to me and say, well, how do you do this? How can I handle this? And getting feedback. And they've been teaching probably longer than me in that field. Because, I did a lot of different things. But yeah, so.
Well, like you said, I think so often it's not you, the teacher.
Right.
It's you, a present Black man.
Right.
And potential role model.
Mm-hmm.
And like any child, once they feel you out and know what kind of person you are, can I trust you? Then that if you show them that they can trust you and open the door, they rush through.
The most important thing for a child is knowing that they can trust you. Because once you get their respect, you can. I had an activity with just a styrofoam cup. I can have them do that for hours just because they trust me. But if you take somebody trying to teach them math or something like that, but out that level of trust and that relationship, they can care less. So yeah, that's true. That's true.
Gregory, you have anything to add to that?
With the trust part, yes, like if they trust you, like they will literally be like, hey, like, can you please just lead with a lesson, and I will try my best not to talk to my friends or just lead it right, Mr. Williams. I'm like, yeah, sure, yeah, definitely, I could definitely help. I'll try my best. I mean, I'm not the master of all subjects, but I'll try my best. And like what he said, with them just having a talk with them, it really breaks through a lot of them. Like for my past, I say it's been like since the beginning of the pandemic, so like 2 years now since I've been the building sub. I can see that I've made some changes in, at least with some of the kids that just be like, I'm just gonna be a basketball player and just focus solely on like this basketball or like this sport. I'm like that's cool and all, but like you gotta think about like college. Like if you fail or don't have the grades, you will not play. Like you will sit on the sideline and you will be like, man, why didn't I take that class serious? And they'll be like, man, why didn't I do that serious? So I can say that at least having like a talk with them or just seeing them what you do throughout like your actions to them, they'll have complete trust in you.
Just from raising my boys, math was difficult. And then once they got it, they flourished, right? But the basic concepts, you have to build on the basic concepts. And that's one of the reasons why I don't particularly like honors classes or college prep classes, because especially in math and science, because math and science are built upon this. So if you skip this because they think you're smart enough to skip it, but it doesn't make sense how you jump from here to calculus, right? And so I think math and science, like you said, you have to teach people the way they learn. Just because the way you're teaching it, they're making bad grades, doesn't mean that they're not smart.
They're unteachable.
Correct. It means that people learn different ways, and some children are very practical. You have to make it fun, or you have to make it where if they say, I don't know, it was, for me, it was always fractions, division, that kind of stuff is where, you know, the kids would start really having problems. And for me, it's just like, they're like, I don't get it. Well, you know, fractions. If I take 2 pieces of your pizza, what does that leave? You know, and so you have to make it into life,
find a way to make,
and how it relates to their life. And they all come, as we've talked about, from different backgrounds. And so you may not reach them all teaching the same way. And unfortunately, especially after No Child Left Behind, they didn't leave much room for the great teachers that we always remember and could go, oh my God, my 3rd grade teacher changed everything for me. Like that, I think, changed with No Child Left Behind as well, because the teachers don't feel like they can really veer from that and teach how they want to.
I do one better for you. These now, in multiple districts, teachers are being told, I say to follow a script verbatim.
Wow.
And then not only follow the script, but then there's moments where, okay, I'm gonna have somebody else come in and teach your class. That's
What?
it's happening.
Wow.
And like I said, because I've taught in Iowa, I've did some teaching in Atlanta, I'm here, so I've seen a lot, but this new stuff.
Well, I mean, and that's the complaints that I get from my teachers, you know, is I did this because I love it.
Yeah.
I love children, and I love watching them learn, and lights turn on, and for all the right reasons.
For all the right reasons.
And it's always been an underpaid profession. Seems like you pay the people you need the most the least, right? But it's always been an underpaid profession, but that never stopped people from going into it. You go into it for the love of.
Yeah.
But like I've been saying with medicine, when the love of changes, when the people that you're doing it for no longer get the benefit or turn against you, then, and that's back to the violence in the areas that we
That's
see.
when you start
And
reevaluating your life.
That's why we see a mass exodus of teachers, and now are starting to see a mass exodus of physicians and nurses that will not come back. Who is going to replace us? Who are you going to want teaching your children? You know, who are you going to want taking care of you? And that is me included, because I'm a patient as well. Yeah. So that's what I think about, is we're coming to a very dangerous place where we've got to be honest and be like, truth is truth and false is false.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're going to fall apart as a society. If, you know, we had maybe not the best setup, but we can all admit that.
Oh, yeah.
But as far as you look at the world and countries and privileges that we have in America, and I think that this is going to affect the world. Whether it's us, it's not just our country, right? It's the world that this happened to. And education went down for everybody. We just studied American children, right? Medicine has been affected for everybody. Access to medicine has been affected for everybody. People not coming in for appointments and getting diagnosed with cancer. Like, all of these things have occurred. And like we've sat here and talked about so many things, is so complex, which is what I always get to about, it's not just your mental, your physical, it's all of it. It's your spiritual. It's not just your mom and daddy, it's your teachers, it's your counselor, it's whomever you found to trust at the school that you go to and spend more time at than you do at home. Seeing the new parents, taking care of the new parents, I agree. Not all patients, but there are a lot of patients who will tell me, I'm having this child because I want someone that I know is going to love me.
Yeah.
And when I hear that,
That's
I'm already like, this isn't,
it's not healthy.
this is not your husband. It's
not
not a boyfriend. It's a baby that you are expected to make into a good person, put morals and values in. So some people are approaching parenting even the wrong way, right? Like, I'm having a child so someone can love me, but you're the parent. You chose to have the child. You should be parenting and teaching the child how to love, right?
to love.
So it's dysfunction all the way around, right? And
From the beginning.
yeah, and it's not everybody. I'm not saying everyone is dysfunctional, but I think the viewing your child as a friend starts with, well, I'm having you to love me. And then, when you take them home from the hospital and they have on boots and a coat and sunglasses and they're 2 days old. I mean, I have 1-year-olds come in that are dressed better than their mamas, So it's all of that. It's the showering of, gifts and extravagant things that really a baby has no idea, or a child really could care less about unless you make them care about it, right?
But it's also they friends. I let my child drink and smoke around me because I want to make sure I know what they're doing. So now they drinking, they 14, 15, they drinking, they smoking weed. You know your child got a weapon.
There it is.
But this is what you hear. I'm okay with it because they're not hiding it. So because the kid knows they can talk to me about anything, we're good. But that's not healthy.
Yeah, you're not supposed to like.
But that's where they are. That's what a lot, some
right.
are.
Right.
They rather know what the child doing and make sure the child is not sneaking than the parent and make sure that it's not happening. So
you got a parent.
Parenting comes first.
Right. I mean, I'm definitely best friends with my mother, but I agree with Gregory. I wasn't at 16. I wasn't at 5. I wasn't at 12. I wasn't until I got out of her house.
I didn't start being friends
so
till like 2
I
years
mean,
ago.
yes, everything's changed. We talked about how education's changed. I talk about how medicine's changed. Parenting has changed, right? Just being able to discipline your children, and whether you believe in spanking or not. Like all of our norms and mores, social mores have changed,
They're looked upon on.
differently.
Yeah,
Some negatively.
I think most stuff is like that, like of like what like my parents like taught me. It's like looked upon like negatively, but it's like I turned out the way that like I am, and I thank them for that
Because they gave you real life lessons.
Yeah,
Like that's what we were taught, right? Like I come from the generation of be at home by the time the street lights on. Now, if you see a child in the park, somebody may call the police for an unattended child, and they're in the park where children are supposed to be.
but at the same time, it could be 2:00 in the morning and there's a 2-year-old in a diaper outside in the front yard.
That's true. That's true. But that's what I'm saying. But that wasn't the norm when I was growing up, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was growing up, children were allowed to be more independent. You could come home and stay at home by yourself after school at 8 or 9 years old. You knew how to come in, lock the door, and call your parents. Now DFS would get called on you for that. My brother had a key on a chain around his neck, and we would walk home after school. And he was 3 years ahead of me, so he was in 3rd grade and I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, the community aspect.
And we had a village.
There's
The
no
neighbors
village.
would call parents,
There's no villages
and we didn't
anymore.
have cell phones. So think about that. Our parents would be at work and we'd be at home, no babysitter, no cell phone. So you had to be in the house at a certain time. You knew your parents were going to call. You had to tell them where you were going, what you were going to be
made sure
doing.
you was in
And
there.
the neighbors made sure you were there. And then if you told your parents you were going somewhere, the neighbors made sure, okay, she left. Yeah, she was on a bike. She was with so-and-so. But people watched and they reported. Now it's don't tell me what to do with my kid. And,
Yeah. Well, even this, like I was in New York and this came on and it triggered me because it's like, I remember this. It was 10 o'clock. And in New York, still it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? And I heard that. I'm like, why did they stop doing that in St. Louis? Just like that. Like even the TV cared about your kids.
Right, just to hide.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody cares.
But
Everybody cared.
part of that, I think part of that though, like that's when the TV stations used to go off too. Remember that?
That's
and
true.
And you get static. You get the national anthem and
They
static.
made sure you focused on the family.
Well, I think part of that, as parenting, education, all of it is a 24/7 society.
Yeah.
Like Christmas, you couldn't get gas.
Yeah.
There was no Walgreens open on Christmas, no grocery store. There was not a gas station
was
open.
forced to be
you
with
had
your
to know that
family.
you need to fill your tank up on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Because Christmas, everybody's
And go
closed,
home.
except for the hospitals and the police
Yeah.
and the fire station. Now, it's the exact opposite. Everything is expected to be a 24/7 cycle, which is why you don't hear these things, because you got things coming at you 24 hours a day. Things don't shut down no more and go off.
And if you really think about it, like your kids are always contacting each other, and like technology, like literally your kids like friends, like they know more like where like they at like than their own like parent, because of their like technology. Like they track them. Like, hey, so and so has my location, so I'm good. I'm like that's not good.
That's not good.
I
That's not good at
literally
all.
dealt with a parent calling me because a kid and these bullies got one of the kids' Apple phones, got his location, and a mom was at Walmart, and they was at Walmart, and
Ready
these
to beat him
bullies.
up.
This is like 5th grade. This ain't high schoolers. They made sure they got to that Walmart while this boy was in there, and they was in Walmart looking for him so they can fight him.
Are you what?
The
So,
location on the phone.
with that said,
Oh man.
I think we'll end
It's
it
crazy.
there.
Yeah.
And I want to say again, just this could go on forever, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so many aspects, because it's a compounded situation and problem that needs to be picked apart in pieces, right? But I commend you for sticking with the profession of teaching and for being there for our children and just being Black men and being present. I appreciate you both. I appreciate you coming on, and you both are welcome to come back on anytime that you want. And for those of you that are out here watching, if you have comments or questions about this episode or any other episode, or maybe something I haven't even touched on, please feel free to send me questions and comments. Please visit us at Conversations with Collins at Patreon for the videos. And if you'd like to listen to the episodes, please look up Collins Crew Productions on any platform where you listen to your podcast.